Now here, I had quoted two portions from the Christian scriptures. One is from our Lord's Prayer. Our Lord's Prayer, when the Christians say our Lord's Prayer, they mean Jesus. Now, our Lord's Prayer says, in part, "Thou shalt not lead us into temptation, but deliver us from evil." Now, what I would like to advise Africa is that Africa should not tempt the greedy people to come and colonize us by being weak. When you are weak, you tempt the greedy. And it is your fault to be weak. Why are you weak? Why do you allow yourself to be weak? The other time when I addressed the South African Parliament, I gave the example. I said, suppose I get drunk with alcohol and I sleep by the roadside. And then because I am asleep, somebody comes and takes my money from my pocket. Whom do you blame? Of course you can blame the thief for not being Christian enough, not take advantage of a drunk man. But the primary responsibility is that I am the one to blame. Why did I make myself so vulnerable? So that's the first point I wanted to make, but in the speech I elaborated. Now again in the Christian Bible, in the book of Isaiah, chapter 11, verse 6, it says, "The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb." The wolf, the wild animal, will lie with the lamb. Lamb is the young sheep. And the leopard shall lie with the kid. This is the baby of a goat. And the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. That's what it says in the book of Isaiah. That in heaven, you will find a wolf sleeping with the lamb, peacefully. That also a leopard will be together with a calf of a cow. And that all these will be led by a young child. Now, that is in the kingdom of heaven, which the Muslims call it Jannah. But we are still here on earth. We have not gone to heaven yet. Here on earth, wolves are still eating lambs. And leopards are still eating cows. And lions are still eating young goats. And certainly a young child cannot lead a lion here on earth. So, what I had come to tell you in my long speech here was about the wolves and the lambs here on earth, not in heaven, because we have not gone there yet. We are still here. So, as long as we are still here, let's deal with the issues out there. Now, Africa is a huge continent. 11.7 million square miles of land, with a population of 1 billion people. 1,033 million now. These 1 billion people are divided into just 4 groups, linguistic groups. Sometimes they tell you that Africans are so different, they are from different tribes, but actually they are divided into just 4 groups. One group is called the Niger-Congo group of languages. These include the Bantu dialects and the Kwa group of languages, the ones of West Africa. That's why I can pick words from here in South Africa while I'm coming from the equator, 5 hours away. The second group are what we call the Nilo-Saharan group of languages. These are the Cushitic, Nilotic, Nilo-Hamitic people. The third group are what we call the Afro-Asiatic. That is Arabic, Tigrinya, and Amharic. And the fourth group are the group here in Southern Africa called the Khoisan. Now, these Africans are either similar, as I've told you about the Bantu speakers, or they are linked, similar or linked. If you study these languages closely, you will find the similarities and also the linkages. Africa is the origin of man. All human beings came from here. You are the original human beings. These Europeans and Chinese and all those fellows whom you see, all those are former Africans who went away. Africa is the cradle of civilization. One of the first human civilizations on earth was the Egyptian civilization, and it was here on the African continent. The 3 great religions, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, their founders all took refuge here when they had problems in the Middle East. Moses was here in Africa. That's where he survived. That's why he survived. Jesus was brought here as a baby when the Jews wanted to kill him. Muhammad, when his Arabs wanted to kill him, he ran to Ethiopia. That is Africa. Yet, unfortunately, this Africa, by 1900, all of it had been colonized except for Ethiopia. So the question is, this ancient Africa, this Africa which was the beginning of civilization, the source of the human race, why was it colonized? Why? It is because there were internal weaknesses in Africa. When you read my article here, you will see why. There were reasons. Some people trying to say it is because we did not have guns. That's not true. There are examples where people did not have guns, but they were able to defend themselves against these imperialists. China is one of them. When the Europeans went to China, China was backward in terms of technology. But it was able to defend itself against the Europeans. They could not colonize the whole of China. They ended up by taking Hong Kong and Macau, just a few points. China could not be swallowed. It was too big to swallow. Japan could not be colonized, although they were still backward technologically, still they could not be colonized by the Europeans. Even Ethiopia, our own Ethiopia, was able to defeat the Europeans, the Italians, in 1896. So therefore, it was not just technology. There were some other weaknesses that enabled the whole of Africa to be colonized. Nevertheless, fortunately, Africans do not die easily. Although the whole continent was colonized, but we survived. We survived colonialism. We survived slave trade. We survived the colonial wars. We survived the European diseases, which they brought here. Other people did not survive. If you go to America now, they say there are people who are called Americans. Those are Europeans who went to America to take over the land of the Indians there. These are the ones you call Americans now. The real Americans, if you go there, you find them in national parks. That's where they are found. In reservations, you go and see a few of them. Oh, that's how the Indians used to look like. They have disappeared. The Aztecs in Mexico, they are not there, or they are very few. The Incas in Peru, the Aborigines in Australia, they are not there. But for us, we survived. And there are reasons why we survived. Now, I don't have time to go into that, but you should do, you should study that.